Hi everyone, welcome to Lectora Live, your inside track into Lectora. Today we've got with us, for the third time, Sergey Snegirev. He'll be on in a moment, but first, a message from our intro. We're back. Our guest today, he's a good friend. He's also part of our intro. So when you were looking at your intro, you see him again. With us today, Sergey Snegirev. He's the president of Branchtrack.com, and here he is. Hey, Sergey, how are you today?
Hi, great. You?
I'm doing very well. And it's funny because as I was looking at our intro, I went, that's right, Sergey's in the intro too, one of the shows. I think the first show you did with us.
Yeah, this is what I wanted to say, that I'm in the intro. It makes me watch the introduction every time I watch your program.
It helps. Yeah, it was a fun intro. It's a lot better than the first one we had, so we went back and redid it and had a little bit of fun with it.
I like it. It looks very, very professional.
Thank you. Now, you've been really busy, and I hear you won an award.
Yes, we've been busy, and some people decided that we're worth something, and first of all, invested in us. So we closed our venture funding round. That's one of the big news. And the other news, and I don't know if those are linked, we won an e-learning award back in November. I actually had to fly from my holiday in Portugal into UK to present to the jury, I think in September, and I think in about 1 hour presentation I told them everything I knew about e-learning and branching scenarios and how we're changing the e-learning landscape. And I think they believed us, because in November we received the Silver Award in the category of the most innovative e-learning tools.
That's great.
So you can say we're pretty innovative in that.
That's really good. Well, congratulations on that one. And you were at the it's Learning Interact. No, what's the name of the Learning Knowledge Show?
Learning Technologies.
Technologies. Okay. Yeah, that's one of the biggest shows in Europe, right?
Yeah, that's the biggest show in Europe, and almost every show say that they're the biggest in Europe. But this one, and especially this year, it was just crazy. I arrived there a little bit too early, so I saw people queuing up in front of the main entrance to the venue, and it looked almost like a rock concert. So when they opened the doors at 9:30 a.m., everyone just rushed in. They almost stomped the guards, and it was crazy. People were like literally dying to get into the show, and that's pretty cool. The turnout in both days was great. I spent quite some time at Lectora's booth actually. This year, Lectora also got bigger. It was the first time I saw their kind of the big stand with what is 10 by 20. Probably it's also very tall, and it has all this new branding from Lectora 16.
You have a picture of it with you in it. Do you still have that?
So let me find. I got a new phone, and it has a much better camera than my previous one. So I'm taking selfies everywhere. And this time I have a selfie from the show. And you can see John Blackman in the background trying to sell probably a couple of dozen Lectora licenses to someone.
That's great.
Yep. So it was pretty great to spend those 2 days there. I didn't work at Lectora booth like I did at DevLearn, so I didn't have all the fun. but it was still pretty cool. It's a big show. They had like 12 theaters for
that is a big
giving
show.
lectures, and they were full all the time. It was impressive. We should be there next year. I wish we were there this year, but we couldn't get a booth in the show at all.
Yep.
So we'll try to book one for the next year.
That does sound like a pretty big show. So all of the European shows should just say, we are the largest European show too. And then everybody's perfect.
Yeah.
So that caters to all of Europe. Do a lot of people come from US or other places?
Well, I think the public is, of course, predominantly British because it's in London. But since it's so big, it draws in. It drew me in, and I had to fly 3 hours from where I live. And when you walk around, you hear a lot of people speaking a lot of languages. So I think the crowd was pretty international. Well, still kind of centered around Britain. And if you look at the exhibitors, well, those are very international. I think all the major authoring tool companies were there. We know who they are. I think all the major learning management platforms were there as well. And this time I counted a few good dozen of big LMS companies in the show. I think there were more learning management systems than any other products in the show, and that's a little bit overwhelming. I was talking to someone who was trying to pick one to buy, and I have no idea how people choose an LMS these days. I think
usually very badly.
Major LMSs.
Yeah, sadly, most of them choose them badly. We see a lot of mistakes being made in the LMS marketplace.
Mistakes like what? What would you say is a
people
really big
buy
mistake?
The wrong functionality. They buy LMSs that are not truly compatible or compliant with SCORM 1.2 or 2004. Very few are still compliant with Zappy or the Experience API. So, and then they go, I hate the LMS. Well, it's not that the LMS is necessarily bad. You purchased something that didn't meet your needs. Yeah, we see this all the time.
True, yeah, probably buying the wrong functionality is probably number one mistake. I can also say that a lot of people buy learning management systems which have a certain content capability, so you can author a course in the LMS, and salespeople make sure that you know that you can build courses inside an LMS and so on, but usually those courses are really subpar because all you can do is essentially put in a quiz, put in some text, upload a PowerPoint, and they call it a course. So a lot of people say that, no, we have an authoring tool, it's built right into our LMS, and every time I take a look at that, it's really subpar to kind of the real authoring tools. So I'd say that's not a mistake. So when people think they buy two things, where they buy one good thing and one mediocre thing.
Yep, that's true. But also, I think what happens is the people choosing the LMSs aren't very technical. So as a result, they're looking at the front end, they're not looking at the back end. In other words, what platforms are they running on? Is it hosted? Is it in-house? What kind of databases? Is it tuned? What kind of storage requirements, indexing? All the things that are important that IT may or may not get involved with. And that's one of the issues that we see a lot. You've got instructional designers and managers in those groups choosing LMSs where they don't really have the technical background to understand what's going on the back end, which also affects the performance and everything else on the front end.
Oh, yes and no. I could actually disagree respectfully. I think the technicalities don't matter as much today because everything is in the cloud and it should be running smoothly. And even if you're hosting, then probably you have the whole IT department to kind of take on that responsibility of making sure it runs smooth. So I'd say it doesn't matter as much now because the bandwidth is more available than ever. Storage capacity is more available than ever. So I don't think it matters that much right now. But still, you're absolutely right about the fact that non-technical people are making those technical decisions. And a lot of that is RFP driven. So you essentially just put ticks in the boxes without really thinking what's behind that
Yep.
that checkbox, and that means that every LMS is trying to have every feature. Almost always just to comply with an RFP, not because they really need it. So there's a lot of feature bloat in those learning platforms that I saw, at least.
Sure. Yeah, it is interesting. IT does not support a lot of LMSs as much as people think. And bandwidth is a myth because there are large companies that have a lot of bandwidth, but they also have a lot of employees. And the bandwidth goes down a lot. I'll give you an example. General Electric has 700,000 employees. They don't have enough bandwidth. They have a lot of bandwidth coming in, but it's limited. And many people are remote, and then you have the VPN issue. So they're coming in on very slow lines. So we see a lot of that kind of issue when we're dealing with LMSs, which slow down the content, the training, and everything else. So bandwidth is actually one of the biggest problems that we see, at least, and this is in the big companies, not so much in the smaller, mid-sized ones. They actually have enough bandwidth. So it's an interesting problem for the big companies, because there's only so much you can usually get into a building. And that's what we see as problems. So tell us, what's new in...
I don't usually work with such huge companies. So, yeah, you're probably right when it comes to paramount numbers, like 700,000 employees. Yeah, probably the whole Google Fiber wouldn't be enough.
No, then you get the good headaches. Google Fiber probably would be, but they're not everywhere. Even Verizon Fios, they have very good fiber. They're not everywhere. So a lot of companies have to figure out, how do we stretch all of our data across the thousands and thousands of people who are all trying to go to YouTube and this, and they block everything. Most of the big companies, you are blocked. Social media, not here. It just becomes an issue. Now, what's new with BunchTrack? I know you guys have been real busy.
Yes, we have. So, as I mentioned at the start of the show, we've closed our first real big financing round. So we have now some resources to actually be hiring, expanding the team, right. Investing into marketing, maybe going to shows. I can finally afford to respond to all the speaking requests I get, because sometimes I talk to a conference organizer and say, well, we would love to actually see you come to our conference, and I have to always politely decline, because, well, it's either us paying another monthly salary to a developer or going to a show in Australia or something. But now we can actually afford a lot of those things. So you'll probably be seeing a lot of me on the internet.
That's good.
But we're also building huge plans for what we want to do with Branchtrack this year. I'm not going to tell you right now what it's going to be, but it's going to be a very exciting year for us, and I think for the whole e-learning authoring tools community as well.
That's good. That's really good. So what did you see at the show that got your attention?
There were a lot of learning platforms. Probably that is a good thing, because it means that everyone is now competing and everyone is forced to improve. And there were a lot of good concepts to learning platforms as well. Everyone has their own twist. Like some are learning platforms with gamification, some other are learning management systems bundled with video conferencing, and everyone is trying to kind of find their own niche in that huge market. So it's good to see some competition and some Darwinistic approaches to survival. There were not a lot of authoring tools. I didn't find any authoring tools that were really new or really innovative or exciting. Well, obviously, because Branchtrack wasn't there, but seriously, it's same old when it comes to authoring tools. Frankly, maybe one thing that I noticed was Adapt framework. A lot of people were talking about them. It's an open source programming framework for courses that run on mobile. And now they launched an authoring tool, which I think is also open source. I might be wrong about that. And they were making some buzz, but it's as a concept, it's a pretty simplistic tool. So it's not really in the same league as Lectora or Storyline or Captivate. I know. Are we allowed to talk about other tools at this show?
Sure. Actually, it's interesting because Lectora in December came out with Lectora 16. That was quite a release. It jumped 4 versions from 12 to 16 in 1 year. That was good. I guess they're going to a date format now, which I never liked dates, but it's a good release. They've done some new stuff in it. The responsive is nice. I still think they have one of the best responsive designs of anyone I've seen out there, especially in e-learning. Have you had a chance to play with that yet?
Yes, I have, and actually I had the chance to demo that functionality to a few people at Lectora booth in London, and people are really, really excited about that. I think what they find most exciting is the fact that Lectora managed to strike that balance between on one hand, making the responsive process easy and comprehensible for an average e-learning designer, and on the other hand, not falling into that trap of templated design, because the first thing was always the power, the number of features, the complex interactions you can build, and they still retain that in responsive course design. So you can really fine-tune the way your course looks on every platform and every device, and people find that really exciting, because when I tried doing the same in Captivate, even apart from all the glitches and so on, maybe all the glitches are fixed now, I don't know, I'm not a regular user
probably
of Captivate.
Not.
No. But what I found very weird is that you have to define the breakpoints in pixels, so that you have to say that anything that below 400 pixels is a phone, and anything above 400 pixels is a desktop PC, for example. But that's weird, because we have some phones which are larger than that, and they come out every year larger and larger. So you really have to be smarter about the detection of devices and switching, and Lectora is really smart about that, so I like that. And a lot of people, I think, do.
And what's interesting about what Adobe did is, considering they have PhoneGap, which is what everyone uses to generate applications, responsive and otherwise, in a phone environment, that they're not really leveraging PhoneGap. So it's just sort of interesting.
I don't know much about Adobe Captivate. Maybe you know more about how Adobe operates. But my feeling has always been that Captivate is like a foster child to the Adobe family. They have the star child, the Photoshop, and they have a few other products which used to be great, like Flash maybe, and are still great. I love After Effects. It's really Hollywood quality program, and they have a lot of good software. But Captivate has never become a true Adobe product, with the clunkiness, with the low level of tech support, without really a good community around that. It's just not really Adobe. It doesn't feel Adobe. So I think that's one of the reasons.
I think with Adobe, if the product is not in the Creative Cloud, it's a stepchild. It really has to be in the Creative Cloud to get attention. That's what I see.
I think there is some integration between Captivate and Creative Cloud, but no, it's really not part of.
But it's not part of CC. No, it's not part of CC. Just like FrameMaker is not part of CC, neither is RoboHelp. They're not CC. They're different. So we'll see. I think Adobe's going to go through enough changes in the future that nothing surprises me. Maybe they'll sell off the division. Who knows? These are all rumors.
I'd be surprised if they sell it off or just shut it down.
One or the other. One or the other. It's not integral to Adobe. So it'll be interesting. But this is definitely things going on in the industry, responsive being one of them. I found a tool the other day, if for those who like to do app development, and I guess you could do sort of an e-learning thing out of it. You'd have to code too much. But it's from MIT, and it's called App Inventor. It looked pretty nice. I don't know if it's free or if it's just a small price, but it allows you to create Android apps right now. I'm sure you can create iPhone too, because I believe they also use PhoneGap. And it's a nice development environment. You basically create your screens, and then you have what they call their blocks editor, which is where you do your code editing of what each button does. It reminded me of Lectora a little bit, the way they do the approach to their actions. It was interesting.
So is it like a system where you build mock-ups for a mobile app and then you can publish it into a real app?
Yes. Yeah. It's just basically an app developer. So you can develop any kind of application, whether it's query-based, database-based, or anything else, including media, and without having to do a lot of coding, simple coding. Kind of like Lectora in approach. Now, it's not an e-learning product, but for anybody who wants to develop an Android or probably iPhone application, it's pretty good. I thought it was clean and simple.
Yeah, I actually find that if some of the non-e-learning development companies like app developer that you just mentioned, or the bigger companies like Microsoft or Apple actually added SCORM output to their product, like imagine PowerPoint, which can publish to SCORM natively, or Apple's iAuthor, which does great iBooks but cannot produce e-learning content in a true sense. If they kind of noticed this e-learning niche and turned to it, a lot of e-learning development companies and e-learning authoring tools would be really in danger, because software development is such an old and rich industry, and they have so much know-how that if they applied that to e-learning, on one hand, we'd have greater authoring tools. On the other hand, some of the tools we love would really have to keep up with that competition.
Sure. Well, one of the things I like about what John Blockman did with Lectora is that it's not just an e-learning tool. If you look at it, you can do web development with it. You can do other things. It's not too much of a stretch to extend it. It could be optimized for web.
But community today?
Say it again?
You know what I found in the Lectora community today? Because I went to the office, I logged on to the community like I do almost every morning. Don't tell my boss. Well, luckily I don't have a boss. Someone, and excuse me for forgetting that name, posted a video poker game based or built entirely in Lectora.
Interesting.
The source files are available. I played it, and it works just as any other video poker game, which usually requires quite a bit of development and coding to get all the functions right. And you can bet different amounts. It's really fully functional video poker game built in Lectora. It just shows the versatility of the tool. And kudos to the person who did that. And if you haven't seen it, you have to go to community.triventus.com, I think, and look it up. It's pretty impressive.
That is pretty good. It's probably quite a bit of work too.
Yeah, I don't know. Why would people do that? I mean, I spend hours at Lectora community.
Yeah, that is a lot of work. Obviously, they must be maybe they're a government employee. I don't know. Just
DMV probably, right?
Yeah, they don't do that much. Well, anyway, I know you have to go. I just wanted to touch base with you and see what you were doing. What can, I know you said you've got things planned for the future. Tell people a little bit about what Branchtrack does, and maybe a quick 5-minute talk on Branchtrack, and then we'll get together with you later in the year to see what you're coming up with.
Yes, absolutely. So Branchtrack is an online scenario building tool where you can create branching scenarios, mostly centered around conversations. So you can simulate, let's say, a conversation that a salesperson will have with a customer. And it's super handy if you're training salespeople, customer service staff, or anyone whose job is centered around conversations or making decisions. It's super easy to use. It's browser-based, and it takes you maybe 5 minutes to create an interaction which looks good out of the box, provides meaning to your training, and elevates the whole learner experience from a normal course, what we call a normal course, to a simulation-based course. And if you are using Lectora, you can export the whole Branchtrack simulation into a Lectora object, so it can be a part of your Lectora course very, very easily. It also works with other tools, but for Lectora we have a special layer of integration which makes it super easy. I can actually show you in just a sec.
Okay. And actually, we're using that tool. We're using Branchtrack in one of our clients, a very large client, and they're enjoying it. They like it. So far, so good.
Yes, so right now you can see behind me branching conversation where you have a client, she is talking to us, you can react to her phrases by choosing out of the response options. You get points, and your job is to sell something to her while keeping her happy. We have this emotion meter there as well. Well, I'm doing great. I got 90 points. So, and I made a sale. So this is what Branchtrack looks like. I don't know if you could see that, but you can go to branchtrack.com and see for yourself. You can get a free trial. You can see how it integrates with Lectora. And if you have any questions, you can always get in touch with me. Also, if you have any questions on Lectora, you can get in touch with me, because I love learning more about Lectora, and the way I do it is by talking to people and trying to solve their problems on the forums or otherwise.
That's great. And we are using the Lectora integration, and it gives you full access to variables used by Branchtrack. It can get pretty powerful. You can do some interesting stuff. And
we actually always see how people kind of expand our own horizons. We started as a tool for quickly building simulated customers, and then we saw that people go beyond sales and customer service. They go into topics such as HR and compliance and harassment and interviewing people and managing people and so on. And they build entire serious games. You can probably call them serious games. One of people who are evangelists, Clark Aldrich, is a serious games designer, and stuff that he's able to build with Branchtrack is simply amazing. So we want to support that, and we are developing Branchtrack into something more. So you'll be able to build very powerful and engaging scenarios with it while still retaining all the simplicity. So stand by. We will have some big news for you in a few months, and there will be a very, very new, powerful branching scenarios tool in the market very soon.
That's really good. Well, Sergey, we appreciate you coming out. Congratulations again on the e-learning award, and congratulations on the financing rounds. That's always exciting, and I know that gives you room to breathe more. So that's a very good thing.
Absolutely. That was a roller coaster. I'm so happy how it ended.
Yeah, we're glad for you. So, Sergey, have a good time. I'll see you in May at the Lectora Users Conference, so we're looking forward to that one. And are you talking at that?
Tickets.
Are you talking at that conference?
Yes, I will be talking, and it's probably is going to be linked to the responsive course design, because we will also be, or I personally will be building the conference app again, like I did last year, but this year it's going to be responsive and built in Lectora 16. And I will be talking about how to create a very native, realistic app experience using Lectora.
Great.
And everyone will have a chance to actually try out that app on their own phones.
Sounds fun.
Oh yeah, it will be.
Well, Sergey, I appreciate you coming on again, and we look forward to seeing you in May, and also maybe before that. He's a regular on the show, so we can't get rid of him. He's always here. We like him. Sergey, again, you have...
No, it's always fun to be here. So I really enjoy this talk. So thanks for having me, and have a great day.
You too. Have a good one. If you're watching the show on YouTube, please subscribe, give us your feedback, and also reach out to us. We'll have information on how to get a hold of Sergey as well in the show notes. Oh, Sergey, before we wrap up, are you planning any talks, webinars, or anything else in the near future?
Yes, those will be announced through normal Lectora channels. We're now talking with Scott about a few possible topics.
Sounds great. All right. Well, have a good one, and we'll see you all next week. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye. Have a great